What up, what up? Oh no, don't tell me we only have one live stream going. Oh no, we got both. Good morning. Hold on, let me queue up the live stream real quick. Get these settings right, and we'll be off and running. At least I've gotten quicker at fixing the settings. Taylor, good morning. Taylor, I decided to stir the pot a little early this morning. What do you think of that? I really just wanted to stir people up at 8 a.m. We'll get into that in a minute. Ed, good to see you, man. Hold up, we're almost there. Get the TikTok chat live. We got both YouTube chats live. See if we got X coming in here, and we should be good to go. All right, there we go. All right, here's what I put out this morning that's just going ultra viral. I was thinking about this last night. I almost sent it, and I was like, all right, let me sleep on this for a minute. Let me see if this is something I actually want to send out, but it's been received well, so I'm glad I put it out there. And make sure you guys go drop a retweet on this. I think it's kind of gold. So I put out, Satoshi created Bitcoin as a P2P payment system to disintermediate banks. Bitcoiners have abandoned that vision, rebranding it to digital gold just so those same institutions can pump their bag, all while calling XRP a banker's coin the entire time. I don't know how it gets more hypocritical than this. Literally, you create a system that's ethos is to disintermediate the banking system. You then completely abandon that vision just so those banks will pump your bags, all while the entire time accusing people who hold XRP of holding a banker's coin. I don't know how it gets more patently ridiculous than this. Oh, yeah, I can't wait. I really hope there's round 2 of that Bitcoin debate. One of the things I didn't say that I wish I did was one of the guys was like, what other asset is strategically set up to be a reserve asset like Bitcoin? And I'm just sitting there, I was like, Bitcoin's not set up to be a reserve asset. Like, there's nothing about Bitcoin that makes it digital gold other than the fact that you want to call it digital gold. Bitcoin was literally created to be the opposite of digital gold. It was a peer-to-peer payment system. That's exactly why Satoshi designed it that way. So I thought it was so funny. That one guy was like, oh, well, name one other cryptocurrency that's digital gold. I was like, well, if I look at XRP as digital gold, like, there you go. Like, your interpretation of Bitcoin being digital gold does not make it digital gold. There's nothing in the code that would make it any different than anything else. It's just so ironic to see this, like, this total misunderstanding by the Bitcoiners of what Bitcoin even is. And just to be fair, I think it was a great pivot by the Bitcoin community to rebrand Bitcoin as this digital gold. So I'm not pushing back against the idea that Bitcoin was never really going to work for peer-to-peer payments. But I think it's ripe to act like, oh, it's always been like this was the whole entire reason Bitcoin was created. Like, absolutely not. Absolutely not. I think it's a smart narrative to rebrand to, but to come out and say like, oh, like XRP is not meant to be a reserve asset like Bitcoin is. It's like, dude, Satoshi would be, I wish I could hear what Satoshi would say about some of these narratives. Like, he would be rolling. It's just ironic. Like, it's just so funny to me to see how they'll destroy the entire ethos of what Bitcoin was created to be just to pump their bags. It's like, okay, well, even though the entire purpose was to disintermediate banks, now we want all the banks to hold it because that's good for pumping my bag. And the other funny thing is like, one of the guys was like, oh, well, what makes XRP a good reserve asset? Well, one, it has better qualities than Bitcoin to be a reserve asset. Two, that's exactly what XRP was designed to be. Since day one, we've heard Ripple constantly saying, and the founders of the XRP ledger, that XRP is meant to be a digital reserve currency. Like, that's literally why the XRP ledger was created. And the last really ironic thing that I find is everyone's so concerned about Ripple's holdings of XRP. But think about it like this. The US government can never become a massive holder of Bitcoin in comparison to other large holders on the network. Like, what's the US government going to be, a smaller holder than Michael Saylor? Is the United States government going to be a smaller holder than this anonymous Satoshi who could literally be anyone? Or in the XRP case, can the US government figure out a way to get some of that escrow and become the largest holder for that network, creating a real reason for the United States to hold that reserve? It makes so much more sense, because the United States will never be able to rival Satoshi. They'll always be a smaller holder than Satoshi, most likely. And even if they were the same size as to Satoshi or slightly smaller, it's still not positioning themselves to be for this reserve. For the XRP ledger, they can still hold 10 billion. Be one of the largest holders in XRP. And as Ripple continues to destroy, I mean, they could hold up to 15 to 20 billion in a reserve. Now, I don't think that's necessarily what needs to happen, but they could, and they could be the largest holder on the entire network. I love how Mickle rhymes video with escrow. It's just so interesting to see this full-on abandonment of the original narrative of Bitcoin to try to twist it into the exact narrative that was behind the XRP ledger since day one. It's a complete flip-flop, which, like I said, I think it's a better narrative for Bitcoin, to be honest, because Bitcoin was never going to succeed for peer-to-peer payments. I'd love to share the pic with you, Mickle. Well, send it on X and tag me. Send it on X and tag me, and I'll try to find it if you do that. I don't think you can upload a picture to the stream. Pretty glad that can't happen. That might get a little bit chaotic. Yeah, like, look, not knowing who Satoshi is a gift and a flaw. But like, the fact that people like to pretend that he doesn't exist, like, that's just crazy. That's just coping. Like, there's no way you can just sit there and pretend like Satoshi's not a massive part of this entire thing. And I'll keep saying it. I don't think it's necessarily like a bad thing per se. But to try to be saying that for a strategic reserve, Bitcoin was created perfectly to be this strategic reserve asset, it's like, absolutely not. There's huge flaws with looking at it that way. The only reason why people are even looking at it that way is because the Bitcoin community believes that's the best narrative to make their bag go up in the immediate term. But if there was something like the United States government saying for whatever reason we don't want to have Bitcoin in the reserve, they'd probably switch the narrative. They'd probably lean into Lightning Network and be back to this peer-to-peer payment thing. It just doesn't seem to me like there's any consistency with any of these arguments. So it was cool to go on the debate last night and be able to say some of that. I actually thought there was going to be more pushback with a lot of what I was saying, but people were pretty taken back. I don't think they really ever thought about it like that. And it's like Bitcoiners too. There's OG Bitcoiners who are like, yeah, this is ridiculous. We're literally bowing down to the exact institutions Bitcoin was meant to disrupt. And the last thing I'll say about this that I find really funny is like, people will come to me and be like, oh, well, why, like this makes you dislike Bitcoin. Like, this makes you like hate Bitcoin. It's like, no, I like Bitcoin a lot. It has nothing to do with Bitcoin. I just think Bitcoin is being dragged through these crazy, unrealistic arguments by these Bitcoiners. Like, I think that's where most of my issue is. It doesn't have anything to do with Bitcoin. Bitcoin doesn't care what the current narrative is. It's impacted by it, but the actual chain doesn't. Yeah, and the other thing I'll say about that is like, I did feel like I shouldn't have tweeted per se at John Deaton to get me on stage, but I just couldn't handle the idea of Bitcoin maxis going up there, butting the XRP ledger, and saying a whole bunch of stuff that isn't true, and just misinforming the audience. So I did DM John Deaton after, and I was like, man, like, no one, especially if anyone doesn't deserve to be put on the spot, it's you. And he was just super, super cool. He's like, no, man, I totally understand. Super glad you came up, but it wasn't about me, like, it had nothing to do with me being on the stage or not being on the stage. Like, I could care less. I just had no interest in letting anyone go up there and just spread blatant FUD. Yeah, they were literally openly admitting, they're like, I don't know anything about XRP. It's like, all right, well, seems weird that you have such a strong opinion on it then. But shout out to Deaton. Super glad he was able to bring me up. Just wanted to make sure we had fair representation up there because, you know, it's really easy for them to come in and just say something blatantly false, like, oh, well, XRP is not decentralized. And unless you have someone who understands why that's such a ridiculous statement, sometimes they can kind of get away with it. And if you just end the argument on XRP is not a good reserve currency because of this false centralization narrative, it's very easy to take that and run and not have a lot of pushback. So that's really why I wanted to make sure I hit on that. You know, I wasn't going to go let that be the narrative of the entire thing. So that's what I messaged Deaton. I was like, Deaton, like, this has nothing to do with me wanting to be on stage or whatever. This doesn't even have to do with me necessarily arguing. But if this entire conversation just gets pushed to things that no one can actually push back on and say, you know what, this just is blatantly incorrect, then it's not going to be a fair representation of the entire debate. I think we have, oh, here we go.
35, the S&P up by 26. Take it away.
Yeah, and 10-year note yields are down double digits, down 10 basis points on the week. And here we go. Let's start out with the employment cost index. This is a fourth quarter number, very important, expecting up a number close to 1%, and that's where it arrives, up 0.9%. That would equal where we were in the second quarter of 24. To find a higher one, of course, you would go back to the first quarter when it was 1.2. So it isn't bad. In between, of course, we had 0.8, our last look. So hovering. Now, if you look at personal income, these are important numbers. December, last of 2024, comes in exactly as expected, up 0.4. If you look at the spending side, stronger, up 0.7. That's a couple tenths better than we were looking for. It equals where we were in September. It ends up being the basically tied for the highest number of the year. To find a higher number, you're going way, way back, Becky, to January of 23. Now, if we look at real spending adjusted for inflation, it's also better than expected, up 0.4. We're looking for up 0.3. Last look was up 0.3. Up 0.4 would be the best going back to September of last year. Now, here we're getting into the nitty-gritty, the PCE pricing components. We have 2 month-over-months, 2 year-over-year. On the pricing, month-over-month, up 0.3, exactly as expected. But 0.2 hotter than the rear view mirror. That is not a good number, and basically we have been at lower levels. We're at 0, 1/10. So these numbers are a little warmer than expected. We started out the year at up 0.4. Now this is the second highest level on a month-over-month basis. If we go year-over-year, 2.6, also higher than the rear view mirror, which was 2.4. To find a higher number, you're going back to April when it was 2.7. We're equaling May, but now this is the 1-2. This is the third consecutive month that we have made no progress. In 3 running months, here's what we've done. 2.1, 2.3, 2.4, and now, of course, we have 2.6. If we go back to month over month, these are core numbers, up 0.2 as expected once again. 1/10 hotter than our last look at up 1/10. And maybe the most important number of all, in my opinion, the pricing index year-over-year core. 2.8 was our last look, 2.8 as expected. And if we look at SEP, it was 2.66, October 2.79, November 2.81. And here we are once again, and I'm not sure how they rounded it, 2.8. We could say it's equal, but we're really not making any progress here. You can see that interest rates have trickled up a little bit. In my opinion, the reason rates aren't going up more on this data, Becky, is because I think investors have gotten used to the notion that we are at a standstill with respect to large progress on the inflation front. We make little tweaks here and there, but for the most part, steady as she goes, not anywhere near on the year-over-year 2%. And I'm starting to see some very, very late revisions coming across the wire on personal spending. Our last look moves up to 0.6, which of course leads into today's up 0.7. And on real spending adjusted for inflation, up 0.4 looked like an improvement, but last month's up 0.3 now moves up to up 0.5. No matter how you slice it, the numbers on income and spending don't paint the picture of an economy that's going anywhere south. It looks pretty solid. Pre-opening equities, they're holding up with green across the board. And as I said, right now we're at 453 on a 10-year, which just put us down 9 basis points on the week instead of down 10, up 1 on the session. Back to you.
All right, Rick. Thank you. Masterfully done as always. Steve Leisman is here. He's been digging through these numbers, looking for even more context on this stuff. Yep. It's a lot to ask.
So we had a little bit of improvement, if my calculations are correct, which is, did I cut and paste into my spreadsheet correctly? On the 3-month annualized core, that was good. That went down 2.6, call it, to 2.2. That was good. I think the Fed's going to like that. 6-month annualized core also fell, but Rick is 100% right that the year-over-year is unchanged at 2.8, and that's really what the Fed is looking at. That's what they've decided that that's their thing.
Right?
That last mile is the hardest, and I'm going to actually get to some Fed comments about that in just a second. The other thing is that the if I
All right, well, it seems like numbers are generally in line. I don't know if there's anything that interesting outside of numbers weren't bad, numbers weren't great. Seems like that's just a story over and over and over again. So nothing too much to break down there. Now, what I do want to take a look at back on a bit of the technical side is we did see the RLUSD XRP AMM go live. So that's very cool to see. We now have the XRP RLUSD automated market maker pool up and running. We can take a quick look at where that stands at the moment. Hold up. So we now got AMM clawbacks live, which allow RLUSD to be put inside of the our automated market maker. And this is pretty big because this allows direct liquidity between a stablecoin and XRP, which will chew up, I believe, a lot of XRP over the long run. So if we take a look at what's going on in terms of the rankings, we can see that it right now, and this is XP Market we are on right now, sponsor of the live stream. Huge shout out to XP Market. If you want to be able to track this, I would highly suggest saving this tab. But what you can see is RLUSD is already the number 9 pool and already has close to 200,000 XRP locked in it. So we're seeing some pretty nice growth right off the bat in the RLUSD XRP AMM pool. And we can see if this is having any kind of impact on the amount of XRP pooled. I have a feeling you'll probably see a bit of a kick upward here. Nope. Interesting. You don't necessarily see any huge impact on the amount of XRP pooled. Still sitting at about 11 million. But TVL is close to 60 million now. So close to 60 million locked in the automated market maker. Take a quick look and see what's happening with the general tokens on the XRP ledger. Looks like mostly a red day, but if we take a look at RLUSD in specific, looks like we got 15 mil of RLUSD on the XRP ledger and over 100 million of RLUSD total across XRP and Ethereum. So still the majority of RLUSD actually sitting on the ETH network, which is pretty interesting to see. We'll also go over here. I'll collect my rewards real quick. So try to not get the 7K XPM tokens burned out of existence. We'll make sure we get a quick collection on those. And then the last thing real quick, guys, if you are a Xanum Pro user, you can go through this XP Market Season Pass instead and be able to get a whole bunch of free tokens just by completing pretty simple tasks. So I'd definitely keep an eye out on that. Make sure you're not missing those opportunities to get some free tokens. And then we are back to the XRP price chart. Still waiting for XRP to make a significant move one way or the other. Really just kind of trending on the bottom part of this range. Doesn't look like the data we got this morning really had much of an impact at all. We'll see what that catalyst is going to be. We'll see what that catalyst is going to be. We're waiting on something. We're waiting on something to kind of take us through that previous all-time high. And that's the last little piece of resistance we have left. So that's going to be our next big test. How do we break through that? Once we break through that, it's really onto price discovery. How about Ellie's tweet? What was Ellie's tweet? Let me take a look. About the ETFs, more ETFs coming. Yes. Multiple more XRP ETFs. And what do we think? The next one going to be BlackRock? It seems like to me the BlackRock one is going to probably be pretty soon here. And it's going to be interesting to see how the market reacts to the BlackRock XRP ETF going live. Because you guys remember last time that was rumored to be happening, XRP went on a massive rip. Now XRP really hasn't reacted much to these other ETFs. But going to be super interesting to see if BlackRock now reacts again, or XRP now reacts again to that BlackRock ETF. So here we have Eleanor dropping the alpha. And she said, Scoop, keep an eye out for possibly more filings actively by issuers with XRP ETF applications next week. So we're watching a flood of these ETF applications come in. And I think the momentum's just getting started. Because here's the thing, ETFs are very commoditized products. And if you're not early to an ETF, you're not going to get any of the early capital, and you're not going to get a good ticker. And at the end of the day, there's really not a huge reason to have multiple ETFs other than diversity of product. And if you're not one of the biggest and you don't have a good ticker, no one's going to choose your XRP ETF. Like, just how human psychology works. It shouldn't make a huge difference, but that's simply how it works. So if you're not early into the game, you're just going to get priced out of the ETF. And if you're someone like BlackRock, there's no point in letting these smaller players eat your lunch. There's no advantage to it. So I have a feeling we'll see that one queued up pretty soon. I would be shocked if they let these smaller players get in front of them and risk losing that market advantage that they were able to create with Bitcoin. BlackRock wasn't the first one to file the Bitcoin ETF, and I don't think they're clearly weren't the first one to file the XRP ETF, but I don't see any reason why they would miss out on that opportunity. What do you think of Polygon? I don't know. I'm not a huge Polygon person. It just seems like there's a lot of different technology to make Ethereum scale, and I don't know Ethereum well enough to really give an opinion on which technology I think is going to be that winner. It's like there's so many different scaling solutions for Ethereum at this point. It's just like convoluted and confusing. I can't really track which one's winning. I don't even really understand how a lot of these scaling solutions really work. To me, it just seems like it's a bit of an intertwined mess. But hey, maybe they can create some real interoperability with Ethereum, and you can be able to use these networks without even knowing it. But I still think we're a far ways off of that reality materializing. This tweet I put out about Satoshi is going absolutely viral. Make sure if you guys haven't yet, you drop a retweet on this tweet right here. Put it out this morning. It should be the #1 tweet on my profile, but we talked about it earlier. I'll just repeat. Satoshi created Bitcoin as a P2P payment system to disintermediate banks. Bitcoiners have abandoned that vision, rebranding it to digital gold just so that the same institutions can pump their bags, all while calling XRP a banker's coin the entire time. I'm not going to jump into the entire analysis again, but to me, that is a little ridiculous. Someone said redraw the bottom line. All right, I can do that. You know, I don't think it really matters that much, to be honest. Like, these are just kind of made up lines regardless. There's no magic line. This chart is already pretty messy, but I guess you can kind of put it there. This one big crash is really what messed this entire thing up a bit. So, but you can kind of come in here and say, you know, if we did have you know, just get rid of some of those downward moves. I think it's pretty easy to see that we probably do have that formation. If instead of XRP crashing out of this, we just had something a bit more like that. We'll see what happens. Take a quick look at XRP to BTC. This has been another thing that's been tough for the Bitcoiners to grapple with, and that's just XRP's price performance against Bitcoin recently. We're really in a stage right now. I was getting some pushback for this, which I was kind of surprised about, where for the majority of XRP's history, you were more profitable buying XRP right now than Bitcoin. So this idea that XRP is down a certain amount against Bitcoin all time, it doesn't look like that to me. You know, if XRP was down here, right? Then well, I can't really show that. If XRP was trending all the way down here, then yeah, XRP's always been down against Bitcoin. Like Bitcoin has always been the better investment. But that's not what we see at all. We see that if you bought XRP in any of these green areas, you were better off buying XRP than Bitcoin. And that's a total narrative that Bitcoiners want to get away from. Will the Ripple case, when it's over, drive the price up? You know, it's only speculation. It's hard to say for sure, but I personally think it will. It's one of those things we'll just have to wait. There's been things that caused XRP's price to rip that I didn't think would, and things that I thought would cause XRP's price to rip that didn't. So, you know, the logical explanation would be, yeah, like it probably would cause the price to move, but what we continue to see in the market is like all cryptocurrencies, but specifically XRP, tend to do things that aren't always the logical thing you would expect to happen. A lot of times something will happen and you'll be like, oh, well, why didn't the price move off this? Or, oh, why did the price move so heavily off of this and not something else? And I think if you just get too caught up with answering those questions, you kind of just make it confusing, because what you're doing is you're assuming that XRP or the market is thinking the same way you are. But we're still so early to the market and there's still not a lot of mainstream coverage. So it's just really hard to expect certain pieces of news to move the price in an obvious direction, because everyone's looking at different things at the moment. I think that probably changes over the long term, but right now we're still in this period of the market getting a better grasp of what it thinks is impactful and what it doesn't. And XRP is just still working. Try to get that breakout. And this next one's going to be big once we kind of move past that previous all-time high. XP Market, good to see you. We were just breaking down, we were just taking a look at the RLUSD XRP AMM pool. Taking a look at the growth there. XP Market, I'm curious if you've noticed anything on the growth of that pool, or have anything you would want to share, but I'll throw it up again real quick just because this was the big amendment that was just dropped, AMM clawbacks. AMM clawbacks allow RLUSD to be put in the automated market maker. About 197K XRP within this thing. And it's really just getting bootstrapped now. So very cool to see. And we'll see how this keeps growing. But that pool is now officially live, which is awesome to see. Take a quick look at DApp rankings. XP Market, the number one DApp, or number two DApp, right behind First Ledger. Pretty cool. Take a quick look at tokens. Good looking price. XPM token looks like it's trending up pretty nicely. Also great to see that. XP Market, thank you so much for the gifted memberships. Really, really appreciate that. Guys, everyone give a shout out to XP Market if you got a gifted membership. Very much appreciate that. XP Market says the growth of XRP USD from LP providers is really impressive, but let's see how it will look next week. I completely agree. Let's monitor the growth. Let's see what happens. And we'll be checking in continuously, see how this thing really builds out. But super cool to see that. You know, I mention this all the time, but it's so cool to see like you invest in like the XRP token and the network, but it's constantly getting stronger and more powerful over time. Like we're constantly getting new advancements, we're constantly getting upgrades, we're constantly getting all of this stuff to the XRP ledger that just makes the XRP you bought 4 to 5 years ago more and more powerful. So not only do we have XRP deflationary, not only do we have adoption from financial institutions, not only do we have XRP being put in ETFs, but we also have the XRP ledger getting more and more powerful over time. And I think these automated market makers, RLUSD, clawbacks, like these are all just perfect examples of the XRP ledger getting stronger and stronger. Can I explain the AMM clawback in pools? Well, a liquidity pool just allows you to essentially pair assets against each other so you can swap back and forth between them. If you contribute assets to those pools, then essentially you can get something called an LP token, which gives you the right to accumulate fees and your underlying contribution to the pool. So if you provide liquidity to an automated market maker, you essentially are rewarded with some of the fees that the swaps incur. So if I'm going from RLUSD to XRP or XRP to RLUSD, I normally pay a fee to the automated market maker for being allowed to do this. If you're one of the people who are contributing liquidity to that pool, then you actually get some of those fees. So it's all about farming the fees. Now, one of the risks of being in an automated market maker is things like impermanent loss, because it always needs to pair the value of XRP against the stablecoin. So if XRP was to go up dramatically in price, you could be in a situation where you're losing the total amount of XRP you have because a dollar stablecoin is not going to be going up in price. So there are some risks to being in an automated market maker, but the idea is that if you're simply using it to be a liquidity provider or a market maker, then you care less about the price of XRP and more about providing that liquidity and getting the fees. Now, the last thing I'll say on this is the clawback part. One of the reasons why we needed AMM clawbacks is because RLUSD is a token with clawbacks enabled, which means that if Ripple ever got a call from some government institution and said, hey, you got to claw this back, we got this terrorist using RLUSD to move money from, who knows, doesn't matter. Ripple can claw back that money. Prior to this amendment being live, that would have prevented RLUSD from being put in the automated market maker. But now there's ways where even if the RLUSD is in the AMM, it can be clawed back without breaking things. So RLUSD is a token with clawbacks on it. Makes it so you can claw back XRP. I mean, sorry, you cannot claw back XRP. You can claw back RLUSD. And that allows you to essentially monitor RLUSD in a way that's compliant with financial institutions. So that's the lowdown on automated market makers, AMM clawbacks, and everything there. A lot of interesting nuance. That was a super high level discussion. There's a lot of things there that aren't being talked about when I give that little spiel, but at least it gives you guys a good idea of exactly what things look like. and I was going to take a look at XRP Scan actually and see the progress on the validator and node side, because I think we have some exciting news. Yes, we do. Guys, shout out to everyone who helped make this happen. Super exciting to see this, but we officially reached our goal of over 1,000 nodes on the XRP ledger, and we're at 200 validators. So up to 1,000 nodes on the XRP ledger, 200 validators. Super, super cool to see. Took a long time for us to be able to get to this point, and I think we're only going to see faster and faster growth now. So the next goal I would love to see is to hit that 10,000 mark on nodes, and hit the 500 mark on validators. Would be incredible to see the ecosystem kind of reach that next leg up. And I think we're already to the point where calling the XRP ledger centralized with these numbers is insanely ridiculous. But once we get to 500 validators and 10,000 nodes, I think you very quickly get to the point where it's like, oh yeah, man, this thing is thing's very, very well decentralized and distributed. So cool to see. Great to get to that goal. Appreciate everyone who went out and actually took the time to figure out how to do some of this stuff, get that node spun up, get those validators going. And one of the things that I was pushing for is like, hey, this is one of the biggest narratives against XRP, just that we don't have enough of these validators and don't have enough of these nodes. So super cool to see the XRP ledger community step up and make a real difference on the ledger. And with that said, I think this deserves a post. I think I got to spin up a quick little tweet here because this is a cool little milestone. Nice. All right, cool. We got that out there. And once again, huge shout out to everyone who did their part and helped making that happen. Like I said, my whole goal with it was like, it was less about the centralization part in terms of me actually being worried about where the XRP ledger stood, more about the perception of like, hey, if this is the only piece of FUD these Bitcoiners can throw at us, like, let's just kill it. Let's just come in and destroy that one piece of FUD. Let's spin up some nodes. And Jeff, thank you so much for becoming a member. I appreciate that a lot. Welcome. Once we really get some XRP price movement and once we get these chats really ripping and there's plenty of questions coming in left, right, center, we'll go back to a whole bunch of members only live streams. But since I switched a lot of these things to the morning, and here's the other bit of an annoying thing about like the member live stream right now with it's like I can't have members across multiple platforms. So I'd love to make it like members only and be able to do that on the X side and the YouTube side. I can't really do it right now. So unfortunately, when I do it, it'll just have to be the YouTube chat only. And I don't like leaving out the X people. So I just have to do some more thinking about the best way to really make that work. But super exciting. A lot of big things happening on the XRP ledger. New amendments going live. Validators being spun up. Nodes hitting record highs. It's a lot of very, very, very good developments. I don't know if you guys follow I don't know if you guys follow Austin King. Can we earn anything by running a node? Oh, that's a great question. No, you don't earn anything for running a node or a validator on the XRP ledger. The entire idea behind the XRP ledger is the best incentive is a no incentive. And people will contribute to the XRP ledger simply because making the XRP ledger stronger and more decentralized is in the benefit of everyone. So no, you don't earn anything for running a node on the XRP ledger or a validator, because it goes against the premise of why they're there. The premise of, yes, the profit is ensuring a robust and decentralized network. The more validators, the more nodes we have on the XRP ledger, the stronger the entire network is. But I will say one thing. You don't want people providing power to the network who are only there to farm a token. Like, you want validation and you want node operation from people who are there because they want to see the XRP ledger succeed, not to farm some artificial incentive. Because if you have people farming an incentive, then all those people disappear as soon as the incentive is gone. While people in the XRP ledger case are doing this because they want to see the network built out and stronger. So not having that monetary system there makes it so there's less of an incentive for more people to come in and do this stuff. But the bigger you have the XRP ledger community and the more you have strong people who know the importance of doing this and know the importance of the XRP ledger and want to provide that economic security, the more people that will step into that role anyway for the right reason, which is for the actual function of the network rather than some artificial reward. So a couple notes on all that. I think it's very important to realize if I created a network tomorrow and I was offering $10,000 a day to run a node on that network, everyone would be running a node on my network. I could get hundreds of thousands of nodes on my network. It doesn't mean the economic incentive for those nodes is anything that's scalable long term. It doesn't mean it's a viable security mechanism, and it doesn't mean those people won't just disappear as long as my incentive for them to be there is gone, because those incentives are typically unsustainable. So just something important to realize there. It really goes down to one of the core ethoses of the XRP ledger, which is no incentive is the best incentive. Very controversial. There's been a lot of pushback over time, but it's very important to realize one of those core principles of the ledger. Hey, Mickle, I just want to follow up on another chat. He mentioned if spinning up a node is helping decentralization, why doesn't Ripple push this? Well, Ripple does push it. Like, Ripple has all kinds of documentation on their website on how to spin up a node and how to spin up a validator. But you don't want Ripple just like pushing people to go do something unless they're going to provide high quality infrastructure, right? There's a reason why I will lead people down the road and push people to look into it, but don't get into like how to go do it, because you really want high quality equipment on the XRP ledger. You really don't want just random people spinning up crappy nodes and crappy validators. Like, that doesn't really help anything. But the idea is the people who can go figure it out and the people who understand the importance will be able to provide that high quality validation power to the network. So I think that's the big reason why Ripple doesn't push it. It doesn't make a lot of sense to just have a bunch of people kind of half-assing it and then just go doing it and then being like, I don't really feel like doing this anymore, right? They want high quality operators. So high quality operators are typically people who can see what's going on in the background, don't really need to be told, can just go do it, know what they need to do, know how to set things up. And I think the more Ripple kind of handholds in that process, the more you get away from the actual reason of doing it. I don't think there's really any reason. I really don't think there's any reason. I think Ripple's just not that concerned about it, because what Ripple knows is that the more people using the XRP ledger, that will come naturally. So I think Ripple just sees it as kind of a second-hand task. Like, you get more high-quality projects on the XRP ledger, the more people who are just going to come in and run that validator or run that node, because then they are relying on the XRP ledger and they want that network and ecosystem to be as robust as possible. So it's almost like in a way, like if, and this is a bad example, and this is a really bad example, but it's the only one coming to my head at the time. It's almost like a lot of restaurants, like they don't really promote their dessert. They have dessert, but they normally, when they go out, they go and talk about like their main course. They go and talk about these meals, because the idea is like you want people to come there to eat. Like no one goes there for dessert, right? People go there to go eat food, and then if they have you there, then typically you might go and get something like dessert. And I think it's almost like a same sort of concept with the XRP ledger. Like I said, the analogy is probably terrible, but like if you come and you build on the XRP ledger and you're creating a valuable product, you're going to want to make sure the infrastructure is in the right place to support your project moving forward. And therefore you would go and reinvest back into the network. Yeah, it filters quality. Exactly. So like there's a lot of things like that. And it's really how Ripple's designed their whole business, right? When Ripple designed RippleNet, they didn't go to these financial institutions and say, hey, like you have to do this on XRP. They're like, no, we'll help you do whatever you want. And later down the road, we'll show you how to use XRP because it's by far the best way to do this, but we don't expect you to do it day one. I think it's the same thing with the validators, right? Like what's the point of getting some random person to spin up a validator if they're not committed long-term to the XRP ledger network? So what Ripple wants is to promote these people to go build on the XRP ledger, create useful things. And then they'll say, well, we're making all this money and we're doing all these things on the XRP ledger. Let's reinvest back into the ecosystem to make sure our infrastructure for everything we're doing remains robust. Maddie B, XRP, thank you so much. Appreciate that. Speedy Baron says, what are your thoughts on the end of the 4-year cycle? Fundamental strong enough for this time to actually be different? Cheers. Yeah, I don't even know if I necessarily agree with this whole idea of there's ever been real 4-year cycles. Like the entire market moves with different cycles. I think it's possible that Bitcoin continues to ebb and flow, but 4-year cycles will end. I know my dad has reached out to me and talked about for the 4-year cycle. If my dad knows about the 4-year cycle, you bet. I'm trying to think of how to say it without swearing. Everyone knows about it, right? And if everyone knows about something, it kills what it is. So, 4-year cycles will end at some point. It's not just going to be over and over and over again, the same exact 4-year cycles. I want to do a quick shout out to Austin King. He's been doing a great job writing articles and talking about the XRP ledger. He's a former Ripple employee who is now working at a network called Omni, which is looking to help build out the XRP ledger via tokenization. Austin King says, most people don't understand the impact of RLUSD will have on the XRP ledger. If you think it's just about a stablecoin, you're missing the scale of this opportunity by over 1000x. Here's the actual strategy Ripple is pushing and the impact it will have on XRP. RLUSD daily volumes are already exceeding 300 million. Additionally, dozens of teams are working with Omni to integrate RLUSD into their products. While this is all exciting, it's just the tip of the iceberg. This week, Ondo Finance announced that they are launching tokenized treasury bills on the XRP ledger. If you have been following me, you have seen this coming. Now we are starting to see the next stage of Ripple's actual strategy. 1, prove out tokenization technology by launching RLUSD. Step 2, begin expanding with low-risk assets like treasury bills. 3, tokenize debt and equities, tens of trillions. Step 4, tokenize derivatives beyond hundreds of trillions. Ripple is going to be bringing trillions of dollars to traditional financial. Ripple is going to be bringing trillions from traditional finance into XRP. Omni is going to expand those trillions across the rest of the on-chain financial system. This will cement XRP at the center of the entire on-chain economy. A flywheel takes place. XRP tokenizes more assets. Omni will expand those assets across the on-chain economy, incentivizing more institutions to tokenize their assets on XRP. This is the 1000x opportunity. It's going to happen sooner than you expect. People are missing the point. Share this thread with your friends to help them see the bigger picture. I'll continue to share analysis and future announcements. So guys, Austin's doing a great job of putting these things out there, explaining a lot of these fundamentals. of XRP and how Omni is working with the process. And I think it's just really cool to see that increased participation with other projects working on the XRP ledger. The ecosystem's being built out rapidly. It was one of the biggest things the XRP ledger has lacked for a very long time, and that's being solved in real time. With that said, though, guys, I've got to jump. Guys, thank you so much for coming. I appreciate you guys all so much. I hope everyone has a great rest of your day. If anything exciting happens, you know we'll cover it. For now,